All right. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have some exciting new things coming in, and we've got some wonderful ladies who've been working on it and going to bring it to us. I'd like to introduce, if you don't already know, and I'm sure you do, Andrea Galvin, who did a beautiful Everyday Shamanism series with me a number of months back. And of course, you all know Angela from Cartomancy Mesquite, who has been working with Andrea, sorry. The three A's, Allie, Angela, and Andrea. There you
Ooh,
go.
you can't
And
beat AAA.
can be AAA, that's right. They're going to be talking to us today. We're not taking personal reading questions. If you want that, come back at 2:30 this afternoon to meeting with the mediums, and we'll see if we can answer them. But you're certainly welcome to ask any questions about what they're discussing today, and we'll get to them when we can. But with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the ladies, and I'm going to sit and learn. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We were hoping that it would be the way that this went because Angela and I have been working really hard, and we never get a chance to kind of figure out what the heck came about. I want to say the little and you know what, Allie, I thought the backstage stuff was I thought we were on live. Bleh, we weren't.
Oh, no wonder. Oh, okay. No,
Oh yeah, I was like, my God, I'm like, oh my God, that was the
no.
quickest hour I've ever seen. Okay. Oh, you
That's
got to
funny.
have a sense of humor.
You
Absolutely.
do.
You have to have a
Mhm.
sense of humor with this. Um, there's huge shifts in working shamanically and how things work. Um, Basically, for the shamanic path, for me, has been for people that struggle with human beings and are more comfortable and feel more safe with animals. That was my introduction to shamanic work. Um, and the actual soul retrieval work, for me, what I'm aware of early on, if you have memory lapses in your life, soul retrieval brings back that energy, and that that part is really integral to soul retrieval. And in the past, the old way of working with shamanism and soul retrieval and all the other tools, the shaman the shaman, first of all, you become a shaman when your community recognizes you as a shaman. I mean, this is ancient understanding of how shamans work. And I was told early on, do not call yourself a shaman. You don't have a community that's recognizing you. We had recognized um, leaders back when I was learning about it and involved in circles. Uh, I don't actually care about the labels either. So, um, uh, for people who have memory lapses or trauma and approaching the trauma, it's an avenue for healing trauma, and we're finding tons of new stuff as Angela and I are working. Um, it's there's some new paths for ancestral healing. At one of the sessions that Angela and I were in, um, we were doing the work, and Angela actually asked me to do some soul retrieval work with her. The beautiful piece is that Angela is a gifted uh, healer and light worker and has her own channels and all of that stuff. And she's like, the work that I've done in soul retrieval with other people, I got to sort of go plunkety plunkety plunk. Angela's light years ahead of that. I haven't even had to say things to her. She goes, "Oh, guess what? I just did," and I'm like, "Wow, that's like 4 sessions ahead of what I usually have to do with people." So
Wow.
that
Wow.
we're on an accelerated path with that, and it's so
Yeah.
amazing. The way it happened, Kelly from Dozen Cats and
Hmm.
Angela and I. It must have been in one of Kelly's early times. Kelly asked me for my contact information, and Angela asked me for my contact information. And
Hmm.
I knew that there were some things that Angela would benefit from, but I would never like say, oh, by the way, you need to do this and this. I have to keep track of my own stuff because on the same page as everybody else is. Anyway, she got my email address, and I thought, oh, okay. And I was talking with my guys as that was happening, and I thought, she's going to approach me. Wow, this is going to be interesting. I wonder how this is going to happen. When she and I connected up, I laid out some of the stuff that I have people do. Working online is different than working face to face, and there's new tools for that. And so part of it is, building the little altar, bringing in pictures, and it's always the perfect. It's whatever ends up on your little altar is perfect for that particular little framework of doing the work, of doing the soul retrieval work. Angela, I want you to jump in and talk about what drew you to that, because I was shocked when you actually asked, because then I thought, oh my God, she's going to ask for soul
Well, I
retrieval.
kind of had this feeling that we were attached. I don't know how, but I got the feeling that there was a cord between us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brought me to you to start with. And the fact that I felt that my energy was so fractured. Because I've been through a lot of stuff. I mean, from birth to like 25, 30 years old, it was nothing but trauma.
Yes.
So I was thinking that Andrea could help me heal that through the shamanic path, because nothing else really worked.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Though I didn't know any of that when you and I hooked up. I can't even. I think, what have we been working together? Maybe 2 or 3 months. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every Sunday we have a standing date. And in the beginning, I was like, well, I'm not really sure where all this is going to go. I didn't have to know, because spirit or my guides or whatever the heck is guiding us at this point. And I know it's energy having to do with the ascension and teaching us how we're going to be working, all of us. Anybody that's in this chat right now, we are healers, and we're here to do some serious work. And actually, that first work starts with us. So the first time, you gathered your pictures, and the first time we talked about the pictures, and then we took your youngest picture, if I'm remembering correctly. Talk about. I'm hoping you're remembering better than me, because boy, so much is like flown.
Well, it was a picture of me laying on a chaise lounge. I was 11 months old, and my grandmother had written on the back that I had said that I'm laxing. And
At 11 months, really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Yeah.
I took off running the minute I hit the ground when I was a baby, with everything. And that's kind of why I think what the work that Andrea and I do, that why it goes so fast, is because I've been running ever since.
Sure. Yeah.
But we looked at the baby picture, and it brought back feelings. And then we started doing the soul retrieval and trying to retrieve that energy back into me.
Well, and the interesting part is, right away we got put into the void, and I'm like, the last time I was in the void scared me. It was when I was working with that woman, and it turned out she'd been murdered, and she looked like a Picasso painting and all that, and I'm like, sorry, I'm not doing this at a shamanic level. So going back into the void, I'm like, but I have full faith in all of my guides and Bear. Some people look at power animals as like mascots. Bear is not a mascot.
He's a worker. Tell the people that may not realize what it is, Andrea, what the void is. What is the void?
Well, I've since been given some really cool information. If you were raised Catholic, the void is like purgatory.
Oh, okay.
It's the place that people can go to if there's additional work when you've died.
Okay.
It is totally expanded since then. Totally. And so anyway, we're in the void, and I know we're in the void, and I'm like, I don't know about being in the void with Angela. What the hell am I doing here? This is not any way that soul retrieval has ever worked.
Ever worked before? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I always work like face to face, and I could use it either with, you all know I work in addiction, and I also work with special needs people, mainly because I know sign language. I mean, it's all backdoor stuff. Well, anyway, we end up in the void, and I think who did we go to first, Angela?
I think we were first looking for that baby, my baby self.
Oh, yes. Well, and one of the things that a tool that happens with true shamanic soul retrieval is that sometimes some of the energy that is not available for us, it doesn't leave and like go away far away. It's always there for us to invite it back in, but we need to have tools and ways of doing, and you have to be like super brave to do it. And I was washing dishes this morning, and a bunch of download stuff, and I'm like, yeah, some of this, like I got a bunch of stuff on exit points, and that was a piece, and like great information, and it actually has a huge piece to do with what the work we were doing with Angela. In fact, I don't know if I want to do the chronological, because I think one of the things that was so shocking the last time around, when you're working on soul retrieval, sometimes you have to go to other people because they literally have
pieces of your soul.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And so I knew that some of the Swiss cheese holes have to do with unresolved anger.
Okay.
And I saw the unresolved anger, and she had anger with her mom, not with her grandma, but the grandma stuff was not balanced. So we went in, and I thought, okay, this was not an early one. This was just recently. I thought, okay, we need to do some work around going to mom and doing some work. Angela, what did we discover? You do this story, because
we found my mother died the Wednesday before Easter. That's 5 months ago. And I went looking for her in the ethereal realm, and I found her in the hospital wandering around. She was looking for the family. She didn't know what happened. She was an atheist, so she thought when you were dead.
Right.
So she's just wandering around the halls looking for everybody. So we ended up I had to walk her, I had to take her to show her body, follow it down the hallways to the elevator, down to the morgue, where she was transported. We went the whole way, went to where she was cremated, and then we followed down to the void. And she's still confused. We have to go back and do more work. But that's what we had to do, was get her down there in the first place so she could work on stuff, because otherwise she'd still be in the hospital.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
When we think about like ghosts in spaces, I'm now understanding that perhaps those are souls that don't even know that they died.
And my mother went through that. Yeah, I went through that with my mom. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and with Angela, because her little girl that had to take care of everything and keep her safe, part of the healing is not fixing people. And so one of the challenges as someone working with her in terms of soul retrieval is continuing to say, Angela, we're looking for that innocent self, that young self that literally never even was able to come through.
Sure. You have to grow up too fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so literally that young energy, the part that trusts, that holds the softness, the humor, her angry little girl is what kept her alive. And She
Sure.
became the caretaker of the world. So as we're working in the void, my role as a person leading her in that area is to continue to say, okay, the real deal is this is about bringing back energies for Angela so that she's whole.
Yeah.
And this is the cool part right from the beginning. When she finally found her little girl, usually, well, not usually, you always have to, when that energy comes back, you have to invite it and kind of massage it and have it be a part of.
Sure.
Angela, what did you do, girl?
Well, I bought a baby doll.
There you
And
go.
I started doing caring for a baby and caring for myself that way.
But in child's play.
Yes.
And the thing that I don't know if anybody else is noticing it, but as we do shamanic work and we bring back that energy, we actually physically change.
Right.
Angela's physical body is changing. Her face is lighter. Her heart is lighter because that one little piece has come back. And Angela helped me with the little StreamYard stuff. Last night we did some talk. And Angela, share with everyone what your little girl energy is doing around your channel, your creative stuff.
Well, my creative stuff is all of a sudden I'm making new clothes, new jewelry, just designing new stuff for my channel, to wear. But it's like being a kid again doing it.
Yeah.
It's not like being an adult where I was a dress designer and a jewelry designer as an adult, but it's as a kid is coming back. It's the fun, the love, the joy, all of that's coming back.
Oh, wow.
And I have so much joy inside of me that I didn't have for the longest time.
And
You have had to be too vigilant. Yeah.
Her little girl is making it.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, this is the one she made. This is the first one.
Oh my goodness.
It's
That's
just
cool.
turquoise stones on a chain.
Yep.
Wow.
But that's the first one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they always tell us that we need to be able to think as a child, be as a child. But if we were never able to be a child, then
And you can't do that.
You can't do that. That's right.
Another place that we've started to explore so many different areas, and every time we do, it's like, whoop, there's another offshoot. Whoop,
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, no to that. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's awesome. So,
Angela,
Andrea, I got a question for you. Do you need? It's not that we need to. Would it be helpful for us to access our do our soul retrieval for our own benefit, of course, to fill us up before we can ascend? Does it help to be able to ascend if you have done this work?
The Ascension is a vehicle for our lives.
Okay.
A whole different way of looking at it. It's not like we're going to the Ascension.
No, I know. Yeah,
The
it's coming to us. Okay.
It's helping us, and it's shifting. Sandra Ingerman is I do core shamanism, and
Right.
she and I have had little teeny discussions, like in the little chat after her sessions around this, and even for her, soul retrieval and a lot of her work is shifting and changing, and she's like struggling in the weeds sometimes, just like I am, and or any of us. But the beautiful piece is we've got our guides, we've got our helpers, and we've got our brothers and sisters. We're all in this together.
Right. We are.
And not having those soul pieces. Angela, before your young self came in, just talk about, if you can just share some of the energy shifts that have happened and the way things have happened in terms of relationships.
Okay. I tried last night to think of a way to describe what the changes are, what's happening. Okay, say 6 months ago, when I woke up in the morning, it's like, oh, F, I'm still here. No kidding, every morning.
That's no good. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Now I get up and it's like, oh boy, what's going on today?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but for a second, I want to just skip out here and address Geek Hillbilly's comment. Geek,
Yes.
I led essentially the same childhood. I went through what you went through.
Wow. Yep.
Me too. Me
Oh,
too.
wow. Wow.
And I
This
can
is
tell you,
bringing back my joy.
Yeah.
well, and that's just one piece. I can tell you with other trauma that happens throughout our lifetime.
Uh-huh.
When I had a heart attack, I guess it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I was on the operating table. They're getting ready to put stents in, and they hadn't put me under quite enough. And the surgeon said, "Oh my, she's got a broken collarbone." And I heard that, and I was like, "Wait, what are you talking?" And he said, "Wow, that's really old." Holy shit. I went right back to the day my dad beat the shit out of me and broke my collarbone. I'm
Wow.
on the operating table waiting for stents.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that came in. And all I did was, because I trust this process so much for myself, I thought, okay, I'm going to need to do some soul retrieval work on that.
Right.
And that whole piece. And I went, guys, I'm talking to the doctor and the nurse and everybody, around me that's getting ready to like go in and do the stints. I'm like, guys, I'm not under enough. I can hear what you're saying. And you just brought up trauma, childhood trauma. My dad broke my collarbone, but I don't.
Yeah. Uh-oh. She
Oh no,
froze.
Andrea, you're not getting out of this. Come on.
So it's like, I needed to go back and do soul retrieval work because I never had that memory. I didn't remember when did I go
So
through
when
it? Oh, yeah.
so when you're doing this, Andrea, you're aware of it, and then you have to go back and do it. Is this done mentally, energetically?
I
How
think
do
it's
you retrieve?
actually at a cellular level at this point.
Okay. Okay.
Certainly I used my ears
Right.
and some part of my brain and memory and all that, but then I operate in a real physical way.
Yeah.
But at an ethereal level all the time. In fact, I was sharing with Angela last night, a young woman that I work with addiction, and she's in serious relapse, and she could possibly could go to jail, and was definitely, there's 4 stages of addiction, and when you're in the 4th stage, you're heading out.
Yeah.
It's going to be an exit point at some point. And I had to, I'm a hero kid, just like Angela was. And I really like the 12-step program because it gives really concrete ways for people, for us.
Yes. That's what some people have said, as hypnicity had a cocaine addiction, brain and gut aneurysms, colorectal cancer, pharmaceutical withdrawals. You are here for a reason, and we are so glad you are, dear. Yes.
And I can tell you that while you're just kind of watching and experiencing and all that, and you don't have to understand it. You're actually getting ready, and you're everything that's happening for you. All of a sudden, you're going to get it. I have like 40 or 50 years worth of stuff that I'm like, what the heck is this? What the heck is this? And
yeah.
It's all coming together, and because we're in an accelerated state in the Ascension, it's coming together. And hypnicity, you're a sister. You're going to be part of it, but you don't have to rush it. Just sit with it and be aware of it.
Yeah.
And use all the, there's many gifts in all these rooms. And shamanism and shamanic path and soul retrieval is not always the best way for people to go. If you were bit by a dog and you have fear of animals, probably you're not going to want to follow the path that I follow.
Yeah.
If you have angels and well, I now have angels and all that. I had a barrier up for that.
Oh, you did? Really?
Yeah. In fact, there's lower world is rock, animal, mineral. I'm very comfortable, and it's in the physical realm, but it's actually at the ethereal level.
Right, right.
And then there's middle world, and that is like our life now, in real ways, like we have to eat, like I had to do my dishes this morning, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all middle world. But then there's an ethereal level and then there's an upper world. I never did upper world because that's where ascended masters, all the beings, I avoided that. And why did I avoid that? Because those parts of me that did not trust human beings hadn't been returned yet. I didn't understand that at the time. Those pieces through soul retrieval for me, which is a very comfortable path for me, those pieces came through.
Mm-hmm.
A whole bunch of other stuff, Angela. You and I had done some work, and then, and it was with your sister, and you've had such a struggle with your sister, and one of the things, the beautiful piece of this is that once you start the energy working, all the ethereal stuff is working even when you're not physically working with it.
Yeah, it just works as I'm living every day. When my sister and I, we were identical twins when we were born, we developed this twin language. We talked to each other. And as we became toddlers, my mother hated it. She did not like it that we talked to each other. So she kind of split that apart. She worked directly to split us apart.
And your mother, what we realized, because she didn't have a base for herself, and she was, talk about a piece of Swiss cheese. My God, she has a lot of Swiss cheese holes. And it was actually when I went to your mother to say, you know what, you need to give Angela back her stuff. It was what I saw was it was actually in uterus that energy, that twin energy, had been taken away, and that the ability for Angela and her sister to bond through the twin language was removed because her mother took it.
Oh wow.
But so then I went to her mother, and she's like, well, yeah, I took it because my mother took it. Now her mother is the grandmother that adores or adored Angela, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem to be fitting together.
Right, but the perception was there. Right.
And Angela, do you remember when we started working with your grandma?
Oh, that's not been too long ago. That's been a couple of, maybe 4 sessions ago.
Okay.
Do you remember? I don't have my notes. The beautiful part about doing this is when I worked like in a clinical setting, I had to do like
notes. Yeah, 100 notes. Yeah, but you don't have to do that.
I don't have to do that part. What I need to do now is to connect the shamanic energy of it. I don't have to remember. Maybe I need to change my message to myself. Yeah, Andrea, you do need to remember some of the more, concrete things.
Yeah.
But
Jill says, "Isn't this what we encounter, good or bad, because we signed up for it before coming here?" And that's a very good question. But at the same time, we did sign up for it, but we also signed up to heal it, didn't we?
Well, and actually, that is an old model.
Oh, that's an old model.
Goes along with karma.
Okay.
What we're finding with ancestral healing in the void right now is that you go back the generations, and what it is doing, it's changing karma. That, oh, you signed up for this, I don't have to worry about it because you signed up for it. Doesn't matter that you're a little kid and you've been put in a cage. Hey, your soul signed up for it. That's bullshit. That's total bullshit. In the ascension energy at this point, ascension energy means we are co-creating right now. Which is why with the shamanic work, it's not like when I did the early shamanic retrieval work with my teacher, a lot of the times I was just laying on a table and he was doing all the work. The new model is, I have tools and I have, connection at a level that I never dreamed of having. But this is Angela and I are partners in this process.
In this process.
Yeah, it's not like, step into my parlor, lay down and enjoy yourself, or take a nap, and I'll do all the work. That in the Ascension energy, we are co-creating right now. So if you see something, you say something. If you see you see a pain or something, sometimes you can't. And we're learning that with the whole hero child piece. You can't fix it, but you can witness it. And you can say, I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to co-create something different. Mm-hmm. And as those soul energy pieces come back, it changes. Well, I'm actually experiencing in my own life with relatives that I've been working with for a long time, but I wasn't ready.
That's what I was going to say. You, not only when you're helping somebody with their soul retrieval, you're actually participating in some of your own that was unresolved. Well, so you get the benefit as well. Yeah.
Well, it's because you have to be humble enough to say,
sure.
I have a gift. I know I have a gift. I don't have to, I don't have to worry I'm going to get whopped upside the head by some, some energy that is going, hey, get the ego out of there. I don't have to worry about that part. But what I need to do is stay open and teachable and look at my own stuff. My relatives where I've had struggle, I have struggled with some of my Trump sisters and I'm like, you know what, Andrea, if you're really working, if I really believe this Ascension energy, I believe that at some level, my sisters and I are going to, we will be bridges. We as light workers, we're bridges. Does that mean we have to be like perfectly, do I have to put on my angel costume? Hell no. Right. I show up.
You got to live in this world. You have to live in this world. Absolutely.
And we co-create in this world.
That's right. We do.
And like, I've done a lot of work with but I still got stuff left over from my dad. Old angers, old resentments. That's another area that shamanic soul retrieval will work with that.
That's awesome. Because we have it. We know we have it.
Oh,
but it's just like, how do we get rid of it? And so a couple of things in the chat, several people have mentioned that they would like to talk with you, work with you, whatever. So I just want to let everybody know, if you're interested, send me an email at Heart and Soul Connected. I will contact Andrea and Angela or whatever, both of them, and they'll get in touch with you if you're interested in it and let you know what the specifics of this is, just so you know that, everybody.
And through email is how I'm working, because I work on Zoom.
On Zoom.
And the other part is way early on, way before any of this stuff was going on, I had a Zoom thing, and I realized, wow, there's light workers. I was told to provide a space for practice. I was really, really guarded with like how, and I maintain we run on group consensus. I'm not like the leader of the chat, but I am the leader to make sure that it stays safe. And that means maintaining high vibration and encouraging high vibration and encouraging wonderful things to happen. So if there's anybody that wants to be a part of practice groups, we do have, we I'm open for the practice group. And again, the way is people send me a little email, or I send them, and then I give them kind of the outline of how it works. I don't keep track of who's coming and who's going. Yeah. Literally, there's at least 50 people that have been in and out of the chat rooms.
Do you just have one link? Do you use it through your personal office? That's what I do.
Yes.
So that they can keep coming to the same link if they're interested.
Yep.
Okay.
And I have full trust in the Ascension energy. My God, you should see the people in our practice group. They blow my mind. We meet.
Oh, yeah.
They blow my mind.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are not on YouTube or any of that stuff. So a lot of people that are watching this won't even know what they're doing. But like
Sure.
one of our sisters, she's made a huge connection with. I'm going off. I'm in the
Sorry.
weeds.
Sorry.
No. It's
yeah.
cool. But I mean,
Okay.
she has done some work at a really high level, and it started
Awesome.
out with a little conversation. She just got a presidential award for the work
Wow.
she's done, and she's
That's awesome.
opened up the communication with the medical community around a certain kind of brain thing that happens.
Well,
that-
that's awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
I literally I have goosebumps right now because
Sure.
the
No, this is what's out there, but it's a lot of it is untapped, and we have it, but we need to have the toolbox in order to do what we need to do. So let's bring in some more tools that you use. I want to talk about the Reiki and the symbols, Angela, that you said.
Okay, Reiki has changed in that you used to have your symbols in your hands. And, even before I do Reiki, I trace the symbols in my hands and then put my oil on and rub my hands and then send the Reiki. Anymore, I don't need the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And the Reiki is stronger. And it kind of finds its own path and goes right to where it's needed.
Wow.
well,
And I'm using that in the shamanic healing.
Wow. Okay. For yourself too. And
Yes.
for the
she has worked with me along with another person. Ellie, I remember when we had on one of your sessions where your Reiki healer and a woman who is in our practice.
uh-huh.
And this is a whole other aspect.
Andrea, get back here.
Oh dear.
Anyway, the exit times.
Uh-huh.
Early on in my shamanic training, actually, one of the things we did, I think I was probably like in my 30s, and I'm in my 70s now, so it was a long time ago. One of the exercises we did was to go to one of our exit points and to just see how it all went down. Well, I didn't even know what that all meant, but I went to 72 years old, and I realized not very long ago, holy shit, I'm in that 70-second time, and I don't want to leave right now.
Right.
So
But couldn't that death be or that window be just merely a transition, like the death card is? It's not the physical.
But it actually, what I'm learning, and it's actually worked because guides and helpers are working with me so that when I get together with Angela and some of the other people that I'm working with, that I have some tools and that I'm moving along too. It's always about us moving along and moving into total being.
Uh-huh.
Well, and this was literally an exit. 72 is, I'm going to say was.
One of the choices, huh? One of the choices.
And I'm like, oh no. You know what? And I had an awareness when I passed the age of when my mother and father died, which was they were both 63. And when I hit 63, I thought, oh, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
I have no role models for how you do 63. And so
I get it.
A lot of
I get it.
Yes.
I get it. Yes.
So
yes, I'm approaching. Next year will be my mother's 68th years when she died, and I'm coming up on that next year. And I'm thinking, I don't know how to be 68 because I never watched her be 68. So I understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The beautiful part is, Allie, man, you're going to have a whole bunch. You're going to have all your brothers and sisters in our world.
Right.
And you're going to have all the people that, and if there's anybody that's in the void that needs to do some work before they actually move into the next level, energy level, it will be available for you. That's
Okay.
at least that's been, you know,
That's great.
I don't go by what has happened for me.
Right.
But
Right.
when we were working with each other, it is an energy exchange.
Mhm.
Angela and one other person has been working with me and working with my
Sorry.
body. No, that's cool. Working with my physical body,
Mhm.
with the new kind of Reiki energy.
Mhm.
And so I see, as my body is challenged, because I have all kinds of real physical challenges at this point, and it's a daily decision, and that's what the co-creation of Ascension is too. What do I think when I open my eyes? What am I going to eat? What am I going to do? Who am I going to hang out? What I'm going to watch TV? I co-create that in the now, and that opens up that path, that opening for soul energy to continue to come in and to make you full and whole.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wowee.
Yeah, there's one other point I'd like to make.
Yes.
As I'm doing this, as we're doing the soul retrieval and healing me, I am healing my ancestors down in the void.
Oh, okay.
Who
Okay.
knew? Who
Yeah.
knew?
Yeah.
But it's a real deal. And
Sure.
because we're co-creating it now, it does. And I don't know, I don't understand the whole how time works. You know, the work that is open, it's going to be work that is really helpful for bringing aspects of Angela's energy that literally it steps out. It steps out because it's not. There's no way for that energy to actually coexist in our bodies as the situation is, and when there's no surprises that when we're children and we're beat or traumatized in any way, we don't have a way to say, I'm getting the car keys and I'm getting the hell out of here.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. You're stuck.
Do
You're
that.
stuck. Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
soul energy steps out, but
Mhm.
it stays there, and we invite that energy back in because it's like, well, what we do is we learn how to co-parent ourselves, which is why, again, 12-step program. I think 12-step program was actually from a soul or an ethereal place, was laid down before the ascension, because it gives us very practical tools
Mhm.
for healing and how to bring that energy back in. You know, Codependence Anonymous or Adult Children of Alcoholics. If you've been traumatized, there's a ton of tools in those 12-step programs, and you will find part of your tribe, because we all have had the same sort of experiences, just like we have all had the same sort of experiences of having gifts, being ostracized, not being able to, that we survived the best we could, and we
Mhm.
had to hide who we were. In the
Yeah.
ascension, the energy is opening up and we don't have to hide anymore. And we're finding each other.
Right.
Mhm.
That's right.
I don't say the name.
Hypnicity. It's hypnicity. Yeah.
My God, girl, you're one of us.
I know. She
Found your
is.
tribe.
Absolutely.
And we will sit with you and assist you with bringing all those pieces of yourself that were not safe to be
Yep.
in, so that you can parent yourself in a whole different way.
Well, I have to tell you that part of my brother's experience was that he was on a ship at the Bikini Atoll, and they had all the Marines stand out while on the deck while they threw off the nuclear bombs and testing. And everybody on there ended up with cancer and died from that, and he never got to heal that. But now I see Geek Hillbilly's father was there with my brother, and to me, that is overwhelming because the connection is uncanny to me. So,
Well,
yeah.
and you know what, Allie? I don't know. I just got a real clear hit that, and I don't know how this works, but if they're in the void and because there's pieces that need to be healed, I don't know how it's going to happen, but my guess is your brother and her
Geek's father. Keith's father. Yeah.
father, that healing will happen and will happen in real time. Now, I don't know what happens when a soul is like hanging out. Like when we found out that Angela's mother did not even realize that she was dead.
Right.
And she was actually kind of pissed off that none of her kids were around her helping her.
Sure. She didn't get it.
That was real.
Yeah.
And it was when she started to talk that way, I think maybe Angela and I at the same point went, oh, shit. She doesn't even know she's dead.
Yeah. It took us a second to catch on.
Yeah.
We got some work to do. But always remembering that the whole point for Angela and for me working with Angela is to continue to bring in those parts for her.
Pieces of their self. The Swiss. Fill up the cheese. Fill up the Swiss cheese. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and we're just, because it's happening so quick and in the void, which was the place that I was so scared, I stopped doing anything shamanically for probably 15 years. And now I'm back in it. And the other part of this is, man, you got to face your fears. And for me, I have to face my fears of myself. When I
so it's a type of shadow work if you think about it, isn't it?
And that's another path. I don't do the shadow work because
I understand. Yeah.
But it's not to negate shadow work. That may be exactly the path that somebody who's like, nah, I was bit by a dog. I don't need to do I don't need a power animal. Thank you very much. Though I can tell you probably your power animal is going to be a baby monkey or something like that. It won't be anything that hurts you. But, but there's many paths to the same place. And so shadow work, yes. Yeah. The other piece that I need to say too is impeccable integrity. Impeccable. Because if you don't have impeccable integrity with this, it's going to whomp your butt.
Right.
It isn't just, the harm you can cause to another person. You're going to cause yourself a whole bunch of grief.
Yeah.
So impeccable high.
Well, we can see what happens when it isn't impeccable, and we cannot sustain that in our society because we have to be truthful. We have to be loving and discerning and wise and compassionate. And when we're not, everything falls apart.
And we have to do it not in the hero child role.
Right.
That's one of the biggest challenges for me, and I think for Angela. It's like, well, and you know who else? Deb H. Oh my God, I am so feeling, her. We were hero child. We were the fixers, and so when I'm doing the work for my own healing and wholeness of my soul, I can't do it. Angela cannot go into the void and tell all her relatives what they need to do. That was the role she had as a little girl.
Right.
And what that does is it precludes all those other aspects of herself that have been waiting to be invited back.
Right.
And it's like, stop trying to fix it. Learn how to be a co-worker or a co-supporter. And
that was one of my hardest parts was not telling everybody what they had to do to fix this thing.
Because that isn't going to work even in the physical world. People aren't going to listen.
No.
Yeah.
And a beautiful example of that is with 12-step program. You can tell an addict all the things that are going to happen if they shoot up or they take another drink. That doesn't stop people. When you connect them at the soul level, it does.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, Keith said he had to stand strong his whole life. No one was there. No one. And that's how you felt, Angela. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I can say, Geek Hillbilly, that is what we had to believe in order to survive. And now in the Ascension energy, that Ascension energy is available for a shift and a changing and a healing of that. And all those parts that felt they had to, man, I got to do this on my own because I can't trust anybody else.
Yeah.
In the Ascension energy, you're going to get to, if you want to, and there's no right or wrong.
That's right. It's got to be your discernment and your choice. Absolutely.
And it can be scary. I find that the people,
Oops.
Well, for me, I think doing the work so that you have enough of the Swiss cheese holes filled
Oh,
makes it so that you can I can watch the news now.
But not be ingrained in it, maybe, or being able to watch it and slough it off, or
frustrated that you can't fix it.
Yeah. That is a difficult thing to do, and especially in this last week, we've had boom, 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 boom every day, every hour. Sometimes something has come up over and over, and we need to be informed, though, I think.
Well, the thing is, again, I go back to 12-step program. The definition of addiction, and this is my definition: if I'm doing something when I should be doing something else, I've been known in addiction where I was supposed to be doing something, and I might be on YouTube. I might be watching people's channels all day long, and I've got, and this is one of the things that I'm finding in my actual shamanic counseling practice, and it's one of the pieces in terms of having integrity as a person with a channel. If there's people that, it was me until I had a thumb. If you're watching YouTube channels all day long, what things are you not doing? Like, I needed to do my dishes this morning before I came on. Guess what?
I get a lot of people that are listening to YouTube while they're outside doing their gardening, going for a walk, whatever. So yeah.
Well, and it's not a judgment, because it was like I was so starved. It was like,
sure.
People.
Yeah. Because we don't have that in the outside world, or we didn't, and we still don't in some ways. And I like this, Craig. Stay informed, but don't absorb. I love that.
Well, the thing is, I can tell you, though, in terms of soul retrieval, sometimes you're watching it and you're finding you're absorbing it. What the absorbing is actually an opening and an energetic pathway to, you're absorbing it because you're literally vibrating with what you're watching.
Oh, okay.
And that, to me, that's a little door, like, ooh, I can walk through that door, or I don't.
Or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Craig did have a question, and I asked for questions because we have about 8 minutes left or so. So I wanted to make sure people could ask if they didn't get clarity. He says, when Andrea said part of your soul, how does she feel about twin flames? Any thoughts?
The thing that I can share with twin flames is that more will be revealed.
Okay.
I think that we, or at least I can say, I have found many of my soul group, and we're all down here at the same time. And when you meet someone and you see it in their eye, and you're like, oh, there you are. And I'm like, wait a minute, I never met this person before. But,
I know.
You're my tribe.
Right. Right.
There's more to be revealed on twin. And I think the whole thing of understanding twin, Angela, I can't wait till we go into that area. It was like, ooh, this is, it's like previews of coming attractions. That's that information on twin was a preview of coming attractions.
That's a great explanation, because sometimes they'll say, you're watching this coming attraction. It will say coming in July 2024, and it's like, what?
Yes. Learning patience. I love Jane, and Jane's tarot reading in the morning, and her sister Lisa. And I went in there because that was always a place for me to start the morning, so that I was, she does the angel readings and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I went in today, and every reading they were doing for everybody else, I'm like, oh, thank you.
We all need to hear him a lot of the times. Yeah. Maybe we may not have asked the question, but we got the answer. Yes.
Well, Lisa had done, when she was first doing the little mini deck I can't even remember the name of it.
The Lenormand?
Yes. And I was like one of the first people she did a reading for. And she said, "Oh, you're going to have a new partner come in." And I'm like, I don't need like a partner that I live with. We're in the middle of COVID, so please don't.
Yeah, right.
I realize Angela is one of my partners in a very real way.
Right.
It doesn't preclude the work that she's doing with soul retrieval. It doesn't preclude what I'm doing in terms of soul retrieval, and it's different. I got a hold of my first teacher, and he's still working. He's like in his 80s, and he's
good
still
for him.
But he's counseling kids in Arizona online, and he has and he has to hide under a bushel because he's working like for real, and he can't let out the shamanic piece, but he's working with a lot of indigenous tribe people, and so he has these other little. I'm not even going to say his name because I don't want to put that out there so he gets into trouble, but he said, "I can lose my license as a counselor in Arizona, so I got to be really careful," because I was like, "Bro, I could use your help right now." And he goes, "Andrea, I can't go public right now because I'm work it's like what I like to do in real time, real stuff." He's working at that level, and he goes, "I can't risk that. I need to be available for these kids." I said, "Okay, I hope that shifts at some time."
Yeah.
So when I'm doing the shamanic work, it's coming in a lot of different ways. But that's the beauty of the Ascension energy. The Ascension energy is raising and co-creating and in the now. It's not in the past. And what we relied on, we don't throw it out. We don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We just stay open enough for, oh my God, there's like new stuff, and how is that fitting? And how do I have to change myself? Where's my ego involved if I'm like blocking it?
Yep. So couple of things I'd like to just shout out to you to bring some energy to Geek Hillbilly. He doesn't have any water. He said he'd love to do the dishes and take a bath, but he can't. He's in Eastern Kentucky. So lot of, hopefully all of that will resolve itself as soon as possible for you. And he also said that I find it fascinating. He and his dad served on the same ship, different times, U.S. Navy. His dad was a policeman. He was a deputy, and they both worked as underground coal miners. Isn't that? I said that sounds like a twin thing going on, twin lives, doesn't it?
There's multiple stuff at that level. And the other thing I want to say to Geek Hillbilly, we have so much help available to us at the ethereal level. It isn't necessarily just only our guides. For me, if I had, I'm not doing it at all right now, but if I was going like on a walk that was going to require like great knees and agility and balance, that is not me. But I would call on, I'd say, hey, anybody and it was usually indigenous folks, any of you that can come on down here and join me, there'd be a whole group that would come, and they would help me. And one of my really dear friends, Larry, I talk about him all the time because he's also been a part of this journey with me. I remember one time he and I were together, and he's agile and strong and a visionary and all that. And at one point he said, "Wow, Andrea, you're doing really well." I figured, you thought I wasn't going to do well? Guess what? I didn't think I was going to do well either on this walk. But I just called in anybody that's agile or enjoys, come help me now because I'm in a challenging situation and I'm not feeling confident. So Geek Hillbilly, all the engineers, all the indigenous tribes that have worked with the weather, and I know, Rue, man, that was on another channel. People can go back and watch our everyday shamanism stuff. I've watched major things happen around weather with Rue, and I'd be like, "Oh, Rue, how did you do that?" He goes, "All I did was say, please keep us safe and they said you will be, and I literally saw a huge, terrible storm back off of we were in
Wow.
Sonoma. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
Ladies, any last words? We're right at an hour, and I know we could talk for hours more. You are welcome to come back with when you get
yes.
more information. Is there anything you'd like to say in response before we go?
Well,
Well,
one of the things I want to. Oh, I'm sorry, Angela.
one thing, if you want to notice the change, go look at the 2 videos that are on my channel now and look at the difference.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And I can tell you that the greatest fear, and it was actually a light worker that needed some work and had been referred to me, and we were just at the very first part, and we were working with that very first energy that stepped out. She had such great fear, and she said, Andrea, I'm crying all the time. I can't do this. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. That initial baby energy was so terrifying. And I thought, wow, I don't think I understand that. Well, when I was washing my dishes this morning, guess what? I had the image of when Brew brought back that very first infant energy for me, and what the image was, and I had to lift up a leaf to connect to that, and at that point I said, Brew, I'm so afraid of what's under the leaf. He goes, you got to lift it up. I said, I'm afraid. And he said, lift it up. And I lifted it up, and I was a baby in swaddling clothes. I was scared to death of confronting that energy, because what that does is it brings grief. And we don't have to be afraid of our grief. What we need is people to sit with us in our grief and not fix it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, absolutely.
Future
Yep.
shows, the twin stuff is gonna be big, healing ancestral trauma.
Yeah.
Exit points, because again, when I was washing my dishes, was like, oh, wait a minute, you actually negotiated with your dog Julius his exit point. He was ready, and I said, please, can you
Don't leave yet. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So the whole examination of exit points, and when our loved ones are at exit points, or our pets or whatever, and again, it'll be more will be revealed. So
Very
those
good.
are future shows, and
Great.
probably a zillion other things.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Andrea. Thank you to Angela. Angela's channel is Cartomancy Mesquite, and it's in the show information. And if, as I wrote in here, if you send me an email, I can pass it along to either one of these fine ladies, and we'll see you again. Thank you for your sharing and caring, and thank you to everybody in the chat. Love to all of you. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Yes, and thank you, Allie.